how should I feel about Bud Selig's enshrinement? I'm conflicted, Richard, to be honest.
Well, I'm not conflicted. He's a close friend of mine, and I would say this: he led a transformation of the game. That the game he inherited in 1992 was a mess. I mean, everybody that had a team was trying to sell it. The owners and players had tried to kill the game the best they could. And what we've had out of his leadership, we're going to have 27 years of labor peace. No one thought that was possible. The revenue sharing has resulted in competitive balance as he took over. Every team's been to the postseason. He had a blue ribbon panel of guys like Paul Volcker, ex-chairman of the Fed, who told him when he got started, said, you got a big problem, sir. You only have about 5 teams that can win the World Series. That's not true anymore. And the technological advances, the interleague play, wild card, all that. Now, steroids are part of his legacy, and I think he understands that. He would tell you, I put a minor league testing program in immediately. We tried to collectively bargain steroid testing, and now today we have the best steroid testing program on the planet, praised by WADA, maybe the best in American industry. That would, I think, would be lay it out just about as fairly as I could.
Well, and in that, let's just spend a couple more minutes on it, Richard. 1994 is just difficult for me to get past. Now, I know you said he inherited a mess, and there's a bunch of teams that had owners that wanted to get out, but the man presided over the blowing off of a World Series. And
he did do that, and you're right. And the players went on strike on August 12th, I think it was, August 11th that year. And the reason they went on strike, let's just be fair, is they knew the owners were going to lock them out in spring training. What came of that was baseball had an economic system that hadn't changed since the days of Ebbets Field. The reserve clause was gone. The players had a union. Everything had changed except the economic model hadn't changed. And I think he would say it was the most painful thing I've ever been through. He still thinks about it. What could I have done differently? But out of that came a new economic system that gave every team a chance to compete. Now, what he would say today is maybe we had to go through that pain to get to this point where attendance has, attendance, competitive balance, local TV and radio ratings, all the stuff you know about in terms of the renaissance of the game. Maybe we had to do that because no one was willing to confront the problems prior.
Well, and then one last one here is, so to those who say he turned a blind eye to performance-enhancing drugs while he was there, or at least tried to fight it best as his ability, but still reap the benefits after a nuclear winter blowing off the World Series that the McGwire and Sosa era helped foster. How do you respond to something like that? Or how would he respond? How would he respond? Let's put it that way.
Right. The comeback began with Cal Ripken, and that's
true.
McGwire and Sosa were amazingly great for the game. A feel-good story. He got a call from a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter one time and said, I got to tell you, I don't know how you were supposed to know steroids were as influential as they were, because I was in the clubhouses every day, and I didn't know. And Rich, I'll tell you, speaking for myself, I was around the Oakland A's a lot, and that's probably the epicenter of steroids in baseball. And I didn't see it. I have said to players, I have said to different players, I feel so stupid. I didn't know it was going on. They said, well, look, they weren't doing those things out in the open. My only context for steroids, Rich, and I don't know about you, was Ben Johnson in the Olympics. That's what I knew. And I think we had this preconceived notion, weightlifting doesn't help you in baseball. It's worse. Lance Parrish had been one of the few guys lifted weights, Pudge Fisk, those guys. And so we were just, I'm speaking for myself. I was slow to figure out what was going on. And as soon as, and when Bud got a call in late 98 when a bottle of Andro was found in McGwire's locker. And what he did was he had a team of doctors do a study. What is steroids? What happens with steroids? And one of the letters he got from a doctor was, Commissioner, if you don't do something, you're going to have players die. And so it's on you to fix it. And in the 2002 labor agreement, basically, they said to the union, if you guys are going to strike over steroid testing, they tried to get it prior. This sounds weird to say, but the economic problems of the game were so overwhelming. They were just trying to survive and never got it, never pushed hard enough for it, or never were willing to draw a line on it. In 2002, they just said, If you're going to strike over steroid testing, go right out that door. And they've increased it since then. And the most recent strengthening of it has come from players. And the players have pushed for it, 100-game punishment for our first offense, all of that. So both sides deserve some credit at the end to fixing the problem. Although when you have performance-enhancing substances in the sport, there's always going to be a cat and mouse game between the tester and the testee.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you liked some of that, get some more of that on the Rich Eisen Show app. Follow all the information you see right here on the Rich Eisen Show.